Rakaka.se, Hellsman here is the last day at MLG Anaheim, and I'm sitting here with Sundance Giovanni. Do I pronounce it correctly?
Yes, absolutely.
Perfect. So how has MLG Anaheim been for you during the event? Because we are on the final days, the games are almost going to the end now.
It's been great. Obviously a tremendous turnout. StarCraft 2 has been huge. I've also been happy with what's been happening on the other side with the other games. I think the crowds are responding to the energy of the StarCraft crowd, but you know, this is kind of what I've always envisioned. And you know, when we had the first event this year, it was very rough for us. The second event was a victory. We came back strong, and now right with this event, we're crushing stream records for us. We have a lot of people tuning in. We have a lot of people in the room. Fans were lining up at 8 o'clock this morning to get seats. So I'm happy. I'm not satisfied, but I'm very, very happy with what we have going on in there. And it's been great to interact with the fans and the players, and I'm just I'm enjoying it.
Being the CEO during an event, what are your job that you have to do, like take on?
Well, you know, interviews like this are a big part of it, meeting with partners, potential sponsors, and existing sponsors and partners. But also, I think the most important thing for me to do over the course of this weekend is to interact with the community, whether that's via Twitter or walking the floor and talking to people and just get feedback. I always try and get honest feedback and try and take that and turn that into actionable things for us to work on. So you know, I luckily am no longer setting up the TVs or the monitors as we were back in the day, but it's just to make sure that everything is executed properly. And if there are any crisis crops up, or anything needs to be dealt with as an emergency, I need to be there to make the decision and make the call. I always tell people when it's going well, I don't get bothered too much, but when it blows up, everyone comes to me, and then I try and help resolve the issue.
Understandable. Can you walk us through the creation of MLG and maybe the periods as you see them?
So at the very, very beginning, my partner, Mike Sepson, and I, when we started the business, we did a lot of research. We'd worked previously with broadband networks in terms of looking at with high-speed internet, what would work in terms of what was going to be delivered across those pipelines. So being video gamers and being guys who didn't want to get regular jobs, we took that research and we put it into a passion play for us, which was we saw an opportunity within video games with connected consoles and PCs to create a structure similar to what you would see in traditional and non-traditional sports. So the first stage was to prove the concept, and we went out and we told people we had this idea, we need money to execute it. So we put our own money in, we got some investors' money, we got some sponsors, and we went out and we learned the hard way through events. The second phase of that was creating the media business that sits on top. So that's the websites, that's the competition engine online, that's all the content that we produce. And then the third stage was figuring out how to take these live events and really meticulously create the best tournament experience we could, and then create media out of that. And that kind of brings us to where we are today, which is we have to go from 18 days a year, where we're the thing that's going on, to 44 weeks a year, where we have real seasons with real structure. We're able to bring more games in, more players, and more opportunity for the players. Because the players, the stars of the league, they just need an opportunity for more surface area. So that's kind of where we are now, and for next year we have some really exciting plans to expand out of it.
Maybe I'm wrong, but Halo was the first game that you built it around, and then you had Smash Brothers for a long time. And what other games were your core?
So when we started out, this really did start with the first thing I ever played. I played Counter-Strike horribly, but I played with people and thought I was really good because the people I played with were no good. And then I went and I found some other people who were very good, and I saw this skill gap that existed. But for us, when we started, we realized that to be a real true consumer marketing device for brands, a console, we're going to have to take a lead role. And at the time, CPL in the States was very powerful on the PC side. So we tried to create a small kind of entity that could exist off to the side, focusing on those console players who were underserved, and then broadening out. So we had Halo, we even ran Madden, we ran Tekken, Soul Calibur. We've run a lot of games in the history of the league. But what it came down to was we had to narrow down and really focus on a few key titles. With World of Warcraft and a relationship with Blizzard, we were able to expand out into the PC world.
And we are in 2008 now, right?
Yeah. And then when we saw that the PvP scene in Warcraft, or World of Warcraft, was becoming a little less engaged, and that Blizzard was not necessarily looking at that, but more looking back towards StarCraft, moving from Brood War to StarCraft 2, and that being the esports title for them. it opened up opportunity. And so that's where we last year had a couple of exhibitions with StarCraft 2, and this year it's become the centerpiece for our league.
Yeah, was it a hard decision to go into the PC games with World of Warcraft, or was it just you had the opportunity to be the American hub for Blizzard? And also last season you had Tekken 6, right? And now you don't have any fighting games anymore.
We don't have any fighting games at the moment. So in the two pieces. So the PC component was always a part of the plan. The question was when we have the right title. Now we're in a position where we're having conversations. Obviously, Blizzard was here. We had Morheim, the CEO of Blizzard, sitting down talking to us, giving the tour. We were talking to Riot about League of Legends. We've got Han is going to be coming in. There's so many titles which are applicable to what we do. The big question is, what's the audience engagement look like? StarCraft obviously is big. League of Legends will be big. The way we're going to try and structure things is that it doesn't have to be a 12-month commitment to us executing these huge events. It's kind of it's almost too much with the peaks and valleys of interaction. So the PC universe right now in competitive gaming, or esports, if you want to call it that, is incredibly fertile. And there's with Dota coming out, I mean, there are a lot of titles. So to be in a position where we can work closely with the publishers and developers and work closely with the communities, we're going to be doing more trials and see how those trials work and see what we can add. So again, being a console league was where we started, and then we've adopted these games, but we're not leaving console behind either. We're working closely with some developers on the console side to try and get those games into the system as well in a way which is really meaningful and scalable. And the big thing for us is I view it as there's this segmentation. I mean, the players who play these individual games, a lot of times they'll play other games as well. So a lot of our Halo players play StarCraft. A lot of our Call of Duty players play StarCraft. A lot of the StarCraft guys are big fans of Han. So to be able to give people something where they can be a pro in one game, but also a fan of another one that's on the circuit is, to me, it's wonderful. And I think it's going to be great for the community as well.
I think it was early 2010, if I'm not incorrect, and you and Mike seemed to have a different view of when to go globally. You wanted to stay in America, and this resulted that you stepped up to be the CEO. From that point, what has changed until now? Because you went into a partnership with IMG, sorry, and at the first point, it seems like you're going with broadcasting rights.
So that wasn't Mike, actually. That was the previous CEO, Matt Bromberg, right?
Sorry.
Oh, that's fine. Mike was a co-founder, and he left and he's moved on. He's working on other things, but he's still the chairman. But, Matt and I had a difference of opinion around how to strengthen the core business prior to scaling. The plan was always to take the company global through distribution, but to do it in a measured way, right? If we suddenly go out and say, okay, here's the globe, and we're going to distribute everything everywhere, then we're spread too thin. But if we can find a strong partner who's going to help and alleviate some of the growing pains, that's what you want to do in a situation like that. And we were able to. IMG's been a fantastic partner. This event, we've had, I believe, 165 countries tune into the broadcast already. With the time difference, now that we're on the West Coast, it's rough for people in Europe and Asia. We're smashing all of our records. We're doing really well there. But again, for me, everything needs to be measured and thought through. As much as this is a fantastic event, for competitive gaming and esports to truly continue to grow, we need to be a healthy, sustainable business. And that means that we have to be investing in areas of opportunity, growing the brand, and engaging with the community. And my plan was to do that in a more measured and realistic manner. The previous plan, one that I didn't agree with, was attempt to do it all at once and just own everything. So I'm talking to the dream hacks. My goal is I want to work with everyone who's out there who has an organization which is reputable and which is engaged in this. I don't want to come into their home and try and replace them. I want to support them. I want to support them and give them an opportunity to work with us, to be a distribution partner for them, and to basically make us stronger as we do this together.
As I said, it seems like getting worldwide with the broadcasting is the first step, but also it seemed in your press release that you're going to have events maybe in UK and the Nordic part. Can you elaborate when maybe that will happen and how it's developing?
So that's something that's ongoing, and there's different opportunities for us. It's really a question of how we would roll there. trying to talk with folks about this for some time, and it's a scheduling issue for us. But I would love to have an opportunity to support what happens, for example, at DreamHack, right, which we just saw the most recent DreamHack was a huge success, and to be able to take what happens there and layer it into what we do. For example, have maybe bring some players who play very well there and bring them to an event in the States. Because one of the issues is you've seen what we've done with GSL, so we have the Korean players coming in. Why can't we do that in the Nordic region, in the European region, in the Latin American region? I don't need to come and to set up an event on the ground there when there are already fantastic events running, but maybe I can insert something which will energize it even further. And maybe even help a little bit. Maybe I can help DreamHack support some of the costs or eliminate some of the struggle that might exist. Because again, we can work together. We don't have to be, we're not competing. And if we can figure out our schedules so they're complementary, everybody wins. And I just think that's the better approach as opposed to the kind of command and conquer approach of just going out and just setting up events everywhere just because you have a brand that you think will work.
We see two kind of different structures. It's MLG and IAM who have few titles, kind of few matches. Like you have the pool play, which is what you want to reach out with people, and then you have the open side. Compared to maybe WCG or DreamHacks with many games, is that something that do you share Carmack's view of having only play the games that you can deliver and broadcast, or do you want to be like the big main competition for everybody to fly in and compete?
Well, I think we've got to be flexible. I think a lot of that is going to be determined. I have an idea. I have a plan, and in that plan, there's the ability for us to make adjustments. If we see something's not working, we'll change it. If we see something is working, we'll do more of it. I mean, I think StarCraft is evidence of that. And at the same time, I can't tell you which games are going to be the most popular in 2 years. I have an idea of what the core, the pillars will be, but if someone comes along and sees what we're doing and says, you know what, we're going to change our development approach. We want to embrace this audience. We want to give them all the tools they need. Then we need to have the ability to bring that in, test it out, and see how the community responds to it. So I understand that the desire to maybe, kind of be singular around one title or a few titles played differently, the same titles but played maybe a little bit differently to give you more surface area. But I don't have a crystal ball, so I can't see into the future and tell you what the players and the community and the viewers are going to want. So as long as my core foundation is strong, the company is a strong company and can scale, I can support these experiments. But we'll see over time.
As fighting games have been a big part of you, and it has a lot of people, I think maybe even you have said that you would like to bring in a Capcom title. Can you tell us what was the conflict and why is it still being a problem? Why can't you have Marvel vs. Capcom or Street Fighter 4 at the MLG?
Well, I think we just need to sit in a room and have a conversation. There were some things that happened again under the previous CEO, which did not go over well. There's also a desire, there's a desire for the grassroots community in the fighting games world to have conflict, to be supported. And people like to draw a bullseye on our back and say that we're the bad guys, we're the big company coming in and changing the scene. When what we really love to do is support it. I mean, Evo's going on this weekend. We're promoting. We're talking about. We're saying go there. We're watching the stream in the back. Could you imagine if they were in this room too?
Yeah.
I would love that. And maybe we did that once. We did that once, and it went okay. But there was a lot of issues because, again, the segmentation, the communities segment themselves. If you're sitting in a big room like this and another game gets announced and you boo it, how does that help? It's like we should all be supporting each other and rallying together. So my goal would be to get to a place where let's pull back in, we're able to work with them and support them. And who knows, the Capcom issue, with a little bit of time, maybe I can resolve that too. I have tried.
During this season, you have had some problems, some big hits on you, and as you as a CEO, but also a vocal person, you have really stepped it up and take like, I'm the guy to blame, this is the problem, really being informative. But how hard is it for you personal, like getting so attacked on Twitter, and the deal with you buying followers and the Dallas event that wasn't that great? Like, how do you handle it on a personal level?
Well, again, I'm transparent. If I'm going to be the CEO of the company, I have to be open to that. The problem is that when people take it a little bit too far and maybe personally make attacks or go after my family, that's when I have an issue. But I try and handle I am who I am, and you can love me or hate me, and that's irrelevant. It's whether or not what the business does and how the business executes works for you. I don't hide behind anything, and I've been accused of lots of things, and whenever I'm accused of anything, I come back with an answer. And as I've said, with any incident where you think I've done something which doesn't seem right, ask me direct. And you know what, amazingly, very few times do the people who accuse me of things actually come back and say, okay, I want to sit down and talk to you about it. Very rarely happens, but I'm willing to do it. I'll talk to anybody about any issue they may have with the company, about me individually, because I'm not in this. The reason I'm here is because I believe in this. I love this as much as all of the fans do. And if I didn't, I would have left a long time ago.
As the last question, fairly recently you released MLG membership. Is this a big part of your business now and will be in the future? And can you just shortly tell us about it?
Okay, so with membership, here's the thing that everyone needs to understand. We love this and we believe in it. But if I'm not going to be able to continue to grow the business and the opportunity for the players and the community unless I can go and I can say, look, this is how important this is to a broad section of people. There are 50,000 people signed up, 100,000 people signed up, 200,000. You have to be able to demonstrate that the community is engaged and is active and a participant. And again, I won't hide behind it. I recently said if I can get 100,000 people to sign up for a membership, that's going to free me up to do things. Not just for the players and the prize pools, but to add things like extra streams, extra games. It's not just us. It's not up to just us. It's not up to just the sponsors. And it's not the responsibility of the community either. If what we've built isn't good enough, tell me. Don't buy a membership. Please, if you don't like what we've done, the last thing I want you to do is to spend money with us. But tell me what I can do so you'd say, you know what, $30 a year is worth it. And if you don't have any ideas or you're never going to buy one, fine, then just watch for free. I'm not saying you can't, because you can still engage for free. But again, for us to truly grow, we've got to be able to show that we have an audience of scale who's engaged. And again, it's like, some people are going to say yes right away and some people are going to say no. But over time, hopefully I can convert some people who don't see the value or don't want to be a part of it.
Okay, thank you so much for the interview. And the final words, anything you want to say?
I just want to thank everybody who tunes in, who comes to the events, who's a fan of what we do, from the players, the commentators, the people who build the event. And if you ever have any questions, if there's ever anything I can do for you, don't hesitate to tell me, because I love this. I love this, and for as long as I'm here, I'm going to do everything I can to make it grow. So thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.